economic leftism is pretty new in modern America.
The friends in this room covered LSU, certainly, the Saints, high school football, and was a regular at our events. And he was with us last year. We miss him this week. Send our condolences to his wife Robin, his family and friends for his passing last fall. So I want to try to honor those who are part of our conversation. Just a couple notes. It's Atlanta, a place where the first ever Southeastern Conference membership meeting was held back in 1933. It was right around the same time as our first men's basketball tournament. We've been here with our football championship games since '94. It's good to be back, and we're looking forward to the start of the season, Labor Day weekend. Games involved in Tennessee and South Carolina, and then our championship game, the Peach Bowl, will serve as a semifinal for the college football playoff. As you remember when that clock struck midnight last time, the Peach Bowl was a semifinal game. All kind of turned our way. A lot of great things last year. Our first year as a 16-member super conference, 9 national championships. We led the nation in attendance in 7 of our sports, and it's not like 7 of 22. There's a bunch of sports where you're not tracking attendance. But we have a lot going on. A lot of that around litigation, what do things look like in the future, is settlement terms work, is the NCAA tournament going to expand over the college football playoff, how many football games are going to play on the SEC. So with that kind of outline, I'll be happy to do my best to respond to questions from those of you interested in playing question and answer today.
We'll start on the left side, right over there.
Good afternoon, Commissioner. AP State of AP as we see it. Commissioner, what have you told the membership with regards to the percentages of the revenue share that should be allocated for the sports, the reference to Title IX?
Good to see you. We have not provided any directives or guidance to our schools on their allocation of the revenue share dollars. We had a working group that spent weeks and months looking at alternatives. We decided in early February to pause that effort. There's so much going on with settlement implementation that decisions were made a year ago, and after 5 or 6 months, people would ask, well, why did we make that decision? So we intentionally slowed our decision making down. That issue should have percent allocations by sport.
Dick Cox with Lindy Sports and Cox Sports Broadcasting. When do you anticipate the 2026 football schedule being released?
Not later than December. We've been in the habit of grabbing attention for our football the week after our championship game, the week before now the first round playoff game. All we've done that the last 2 years. I think that's actually drawn a great deal of attention.
Section,
Dan Peck, ESPN 167 Auburn. Commissioner, how would you describe your level of confidence in the CSC's ability to police and enforce the new rules of college football?
My level of confidence is appropriate with the responsibility, which is a header responsibility. We're 2 weeks in, plenty of commentary and naysayers. I don't know of any meaningful endeavor where one throws their hands up after 2 weeks and says, oh, this will never work. Really been impressed with Brian Seeley, who was hired to lead a CSC College Sports Commission effort. His work with Major League Baseball, the issues he dealt with there are not precise with what we have, but a lot of background and education that will be beneficial. We also have an agreement established through federal court around what the terms are and how the terms of that settlement can be overseen. That's what we're going to accomplish. Now, what we need is those on our campuses who are part of this decision-making process to set those same expectations and live the boundaries that which they agree to. On the list of where do I have confidence and lack of confidence, those that can agree to manage the CSC, I have a high degree of confidence in. individual decision making. It's always a challenge in life.
Get the middle,
Good to see you guys, Mr. Commissioner. I'm David Elliston, Sports Director at WJTV, the CBS station in Jackson, Mississippi. I cover Ole Miss and Mississippi State, and I know that one of the reactions to the expanded college football playoff that I know you commented on earlier today was very positive. But Ole Miss fans looking at being ranked number 13 at the end of the season and seemingly just missing out. A lot of the comments I heard from fans is, okay, how can we get the conference winners that all made it, but maybe some of them weren't in the top 13 best teams, and Ole Miss was one of the top 12 best teams, but not, et cetera, et cetera. How do you find the balance with that, this new world of expanded 12-team playoff, having the top 12 teams versus the top 12 teams?
One of the realities when you're in a group setting like the CFP Management Committee is there are ideas, debates, compromises, and decisions. It was surprising to me last year that the team outside the top 12 was an ACC champion. That surprised me. You wouldn't have thought among the Autonomy 4 conferences that one of those champions would not be inside the top 12, yet it is. That decision was part of a compromise to make sure we had a national championship to emphasize the importance of conference champions. And really the issue that was known from the beginning is the team ranked 12, which I think last year was Alabama, if I remember, is the team that is disadvantaged as you move from the playoff if somebody is 13 and it's about half the year, this is not precise, where everybody's in the top 12, and half the year you have somebody outside. That can work for a while, in my opinion, so if everybody's committed to high-level football, you have some years where they're in and out. I don't think if you have teams that are coming from, say, outside the top 25, which that scenario is possible, or if you have multiple teams outside the top 12, that it will be long-term sustainable or credible to replace teams in the top 12 for those outside. Understand part of the challenge is how do you compare teams and conferences and rigor of play and all of those strength of schedule issues I've discussed. But it goes back to a compromise position where you can bring people into the conversation. And that's the background of the law. I do think that the question to be answered long-term is how frequently does that displacement occur, and how many teams might be outside the top 12 displacing teams inside the top 12. The more that happens, I think the more questions about credibility.
section, if you will.
Flag football has grown exponentially as a sport at the high school level. I wondered, has the commissioner at the conference had any discussion about flag football potentially at the college level?
I have, and we have not in a way that's developed to the point that it's about to be added, because in the background is settlement, and I'll talk 22% of revenue to the players, additional scholarship costs as we move from the old equivalency model into the roster limits. Now is not the moment where there's a lot of focus on adding sports. The focus is on supporting the opportunities and sports that exist. We'll continue to pay attention. Credit the NFL has done a nice job of using flag football as the increase in the game beyond those who just play tackle. That's a good thing for us all. It will not be anything, but right now the focus is on the immediate realities around implementation and supporting the sports that are mandatory.
Left side,
Travis Brown, KBTX. When you look at the CSC and those enforcement measures, is there anything from the conference level that can be done to encourage institutions when it comes to making those individual level decisions? Because it does seem like that's the weakest link of programs who might be in an enforcement situation operating for the good of the sport, not just for their institution.
One of the misunderstandings of needs and priorities is a lot of discussion about relationship with the student athlete. I think the most needed element of college athletics is a clear agreement among institutions that participate in setting the rules, to follow those rules, to hold themselves to that standard first. So to your question, that would be the initial answer. And then the second point is accountability has to be applied from the outside itself. That means changing state laws. I think it really means about the need to change attitudes. Yes, we talk about that, absolutely. We follow up with their concerns. Part of it's the message that I shared right here today and earlier today, that we have to have agreement on what standards should apply, how institutions self-correct if someone steps outside those expectations, and if on the individual campus basis, those expectations aren't fulfilled, how it's
Right side, second row.
House attorneys and fighting back earlier about some of the language on the CSC as far as foul business purposes. News about collectives and deals being shut down or turned away. What are your thoughts on those regulations and collectives having big initiative here for the law enforcement? Just based on
the terms of the settlement have not been secret. Those are approved, submitted to court, approved before court, people back to those terms. Certainly, we learned on Friday that plaintiffs had concerns with those in writing. That kind of correspondence can happen directly without media attention. If someone chose to go to the media, so that doesn't mean the position that was communicated needs to be modified.
Left side, second row.
Hey, Commissioner, Jacques Dusek, WAPTV in Baton Rouge. I just want your thoughts on LSU baseball, just winning another national title 2 in 3 years, and then the SEC's run in the national championship in Omaha, and has it, benefit the conference.
I'll take you through my June, which was, I thought we had a great baseball season. I thought a phenomenal baseball season. You look week to week and the number of quality teams we had. Then we had the reward for that great play with a number of teams selected. First round, regional sites, and we didn't perform the way I would have expected, some surprises. But that's the nature of baseball. Ball bounces funny ways. Bat finds the ball at times, the ball finds the glove at others. So you understand the nature of the game. And then we moved into super regionals. There were some things I thought the team could have done pretty perhaps. But you saw really good baseball throughout the year. So I knew once we had teams in Omaha, we have experienced coaches who know how to manage through that experience, set their teams up in a really good way. So that's not direct, it's just, it was an interesting experience, and what that led me to is, man, we've been on this incredible run. Like, if you go run around Charles Schwab Field and you look at the plaques of the years that teams won the national championship, you're into the late 80s before you see our teams listed, right? When you think about over the last 35 years how college baseball has changed. I give a lot of people a lot of credit. Skip obviously got out ahead. I moved to Louisiana in 92 and was at Baton Rouge, the old Alex box in 93 at a regional in Northwestern State, just blown away by the number of people, the level of play. And those are the sorts of things that make us better. When you have this many teams compete with this depth, you have a program that's won as much as LSU, everybody wants to attain that mountain. I think that makes us better. And then in Omaha, you just saw some great performances out of each of our teams were there. We had 2, right? And so the narrative was, well, they're not gonna have the most, and lo and behold, somehow, even with 2, we still have the most of any conference out there. And then those 2 teams ended up in the same side of the bracket. bracket, unfortunately, but I mean, great baseball. I don't think that trend will change. In fact, I think we'll have just as many, if not more teams poised to make that run through the season. I also didn't ask this. I wanted to keep double elimination in Hoover. I actually thought that baseball was really well played and really enjoyed. It's a little bit different, you know, fans might not have teams play till Friday, but we have good attendance throughout the week. Allows our coaches to prepare in a little bit different way. But we didn't have those like 18 to 15 games in the center fielder and right fielder, you know, throwing on Saturday afternoon. So a lot of good in baseball, a lot of good.
Wish we had more time. Thank you very much, Mr. Sankey. We appreciate it.
I don't know if you're rolling with the game, and so there has been some minor tweaks. We've had great additions